So the main gallery really is kind of my plea for sanity at this time. This is October of 2020. We have a very important election in a month, hence the Trumpolini series. The Trumpolini series was conceptualized during the first year of the Trump presidency, and basically it refers to a piece that an Italian sculptor made. This is a piece that was made in 1933, and it was called Profilo Continuo del Mussolini, and which translates to continuous profile of Mussolini. It was a spinning profile. It was part of the Italian Futurism movement. And it was actually a piece that was intended to be very complimentary toward Mussolini, who promoted himself as being all-seeing and all-knowing, and it was a piece that showed that he could see in 360 degrees. This was the image that he promoted about himself, and I was thinking about the many parallels between basically the original fascist and our own leader who has the same tendencies. So the Trumpolini series began. There are also a spinning profile of Donald Trump, but they're manipulated in ways basically through the title, and the majority of titles are actually quotes from the president himself. I found I couldn't come up with better titles. I mean, he provides all the material necessary, kind of a horrific humor that I couldn't really duplicate. The idea is that the viewer, by looking at the pieces and seeing some of the visual references that are woven into the pieces and into these spinning profiles, the messages that I intend to convey are embedded in the pieces. Each piece is sort of a little part of this chapter that's my summation of this presidency. At first, I thought I would try throwing them and working with templates and whatnot, but the shape is just a little too complex in terms of structurally and how it could fire and support itself and whatnot. So I did something. I took a leap. I worked with a digital fabricator. I worked with a series of, I cribbed a lot of photos of Donald Trump, his profile. I took every profile photo I could find, and I came up with sort of the quintessential profile. And I turned that into a drawing. And then I worked with a digital fabricator. We computerized that profile, and then through his programming, we spun it and adjusted the dimensions, height-wise, width-wise, until it looked about right to me. And at that point, we printed it out through digital fabrication in plastic. From there, I made molds. So I had these printed out in various sizes, several sizes. And then these are cast and then manipulated, altered, carved, and glazed in different ways and combined with different elements, either bases or things sticking out like the coronavirus or the brain texture carved into the very stable genius piece, etc. My marriage partner, Phoebe, really hates this series. She can't even walk into my studio. And she thinks it's very heavy-handed, and maybe it is. I mean, I wonder myself, I mean, damn, it is pretty heavy-handed. And I wonder, is that such a terrible thing? I look at things like, talking about historical references, For me, some of the high bars are like Picasso's Guernica and Goya's Disasters of War. And I mean, my God, can you think of anything more heavy-handed than, the suite of etchings, the Disasters of War from Goya? And yet, it's had an impact. And I think that's what art should have, and especially art, that engages its viewers in considering man's inhumanity to man. Socially and politically conscious art, I think, should first and foremost be really strong art. And sometimes it means you have to be heavy-handed. I don't think it should always be so subtle. Also, I was raised right after World War II. My father fought in Europe, was away from my mother for 3 years. I was in the Battle of the Bulge. He went through France, Belgium, and into Germany, and witnessed some of the atrocities of the Holocaust. And so I was brought up with a very strong sort of be alert and be aware and be active sort of consciousness. And it took. It took. Now I have granddaughters, and even though I'm 72, I'm fighting for them now. And all children. It's still strong in me. I've been asked a number of times, having been an artist working in social and political commentary. Some people say, "Come on, Nat, can you really think art can save the world?" I mean, the world will survive. Can art save human civilization? Can anything save human civilization? I think it's the wrong question. I think the right question is, can art make a difference? And I think it already has. And I'm not talking just about these little clay tchotchkes that I make. It's like, everything, music, dance, literature. I mentioned Goya's Disaster of War in Guernica. People see, hear, experience these things, and they let us know, even if they have no social commentary at all. There's something about the human spirit of creativity that I think really keeps that spark of there's something worth being human that keeps us going. And I think that art in all of its forms, creativity in all of its forms, keeps us going. I once read a critic wrote a line that I'll never forget. He wrote, "Even bad art is better than good bombs." And I just love that. I did a lecture one time at the University of Oregon in Eugene, and at the end of the lecture, some kid said to me, I'll never forget this question. It's the first time I ever got this question. It made me think. And he said, "Well, Mr. Notkin, what would you make if all of a sudden universal peace broke out throughout the world and the last nuclear weapon on Earth was dismantled?" And I was like, wow, I had to, usually you get the same questions over and over again. I had to think for a while. Then it hit me. And I said, nudes, lots of nudes. So I don't think I'll see that moment in my lifetime, but it's something to ponder.